Hello patrons, I am talking to you from the road. I'm out on an AOPA lecture tour. It's been an awesome week. I'm out here doing the Peaks to Pavement seminar in Illinois, my old stomping grounds. So it's been super fun. I've been everywhere from Northbrook to Peoria to Poplar Grove, which is just such an awesome little airport, and Bolingbrook, just lots of fun people I've met. And you know, giving the same seminar each night, I start to see kind of the questions that people have and just a way to add like a little bit of value to everybody's flying. And there's something that I wanted to have you consider. Just think about this a little bit. Make sure that on your landing, watch your airspeed. Make sure you've got precise airspeed control. And what I'm going to talk about here is how to effectively use your aiming point so that you can kind of calibrate the distance your aircraft is floating and just become a little bit more precise on where you are actually touching down. And that's going to start with really precise airspeed control. Like we said, if you're supposed to come in at 80, make sure it's not like 87 or 85. Like really try to get it right. Try to nail it. If it's supposed to be 65, make sure it's 65. And have the aircraft stabilized by at least 500 feet AGL. If you're an airline pilot, by the way, and your approach is not stabilized by 500 feet AGL, you just go around. And that's based on back engineering a lot of landing data, right? They look at a lot of landings gone wrong and figure out what is the thing that they all had in common. They all had in common that they weren't stabilized past the 500 foot AGL point. So get on a nice stabilized approach, about 500 feet AGL. You should have everything sort of dialed in, your airspeed's looking good. And then select an aiming point. Let's just start with something like, let's start with 500 feet in front of the point you want to hit. And if you're using a precision runway, that's easy because you've got markings every 500 feet for the first third of the runway. But if you don't, just remember that a runway stripe is 180 feet long and there's 20 feet in between each runway stripe. So from the beginning of one stripe to the beginning of the next stripe is 200 feet. Just to keep that in mind. And pick an aiming point, and the aiming point is the one point in your view, in your window, that's not moving. It's not moving up, it's not moving down. It just kind of looks like all things are emanating out from that one aiming point. All right, so here we are, we're on final, we're stabilized, we've got our aiming point. The aiming point is 500 feet in front of the place you want to touch down. Your airspeed is dialed in, and you're just using power to kind of hold that aiming point right where you want it in the windscreen. And as you approach, everything's emanating out from that one aiming point. Now, when some reference 100 feet in front of your aiming point, so if the beginning of one runway stripe to the beginning of the next is 200 feet, so halfway up the stripe, a little bit like 2/3 of the way up the stripe there, when that starts to disappear underneath your dash, then you want to power to idle and slowly transition to your landing attitude, looking all the way down the runway, and float that last 500 feet to your touchdown point. All right? Try that next time. Try to add a little bit of precision. This is something that's been coming up all week when we talk about flying in the backcountry. In this Peaks to Pavement seminar that I've been doing, people have been asking, how do you make your landings more precise? And that's a conversation that I've been having with so many great pilots all across Illinois. So maybe I thought my patrons could benefit. Try that next time you go flying. Precise airspeed control, a good aiming point 500 feet in front of where you want to touch down. And then when some reference 100 feet before your aiming point begins to disappear under your dash, begin a slow flare, about 4 seconds long, look all the way down the runway, protect the nose wheel, and I bet you'll touch down right on your spot. Try it, let me know how it goes.